What up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm MoedotJ and we are locked in. This is episode 5 of Women of the Movement, and we seen in episode 4 it was called Manhunt, where they were trying to figure out who the black men were that were riding with Bryant that evening, and also they brought in witnesses that may have heard something of Emmett that morning that he came up missing. Now, before we jump into episode 5, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel, you want to be a part of it, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Hit that like button. It's the easiest thing you can do. Now, we're moving forward. We know Dr. Howard had Mamie at the house, showing her everything that they built for the blacks there, and that he's not leaving because he wants to be here and help out the blacks that are around this area. Now, the court date is here, and this is where we pick up in episode 5. So let's jump into it. This is Women of the Movement, episode 5. We start the episode off with Miss Bryant. She's preparing herself to get ready for the trial. Now, she's the one that started all this nonsense. She could have easily told her husband that night when they brought Emmett out of the house that, oh, that isn't him, and just carried on about life, and none of this would ever happen. The lady in here, she's telling her, forget what you're wearing. You need to get all this negative light off of us. Even though that they're the one in the wrong, these white folk are saying, you just got too much attention on us. We want to go back to living our normal life. And the normal life is the same thing that got us in this situation. And the last thing she tells Miss Bryant is, you got us in this mess. It's up to you to get us out of it. They don't want the negative light to look on them for a negative situation that they started. That's how these white folk are, man. You have to understand how the South was ran. They have a white lawyer because they have to follow by the rules in the South. Now, Dr. Howard is doing everything he can, how he's an activist, and he has all the NAACP support. So the lawyer is telling Mamie, things are going good. Dr. Howard's work is paying off. Now, we're going to need you to take the stand and be able to physically say that you can identify your son's body. Because right now, we see that the sheriff and everyone, they're trying to say it's a hoax. Oh, they're just trying to stir up stuff in our county just to make it seem like we're doing bad things down here. So it's going to be up to Mamie to go on the stand and say that that was her son, because she actually seen the body, and we also seen that he had the ring on from his father. When Bryant gets to the courtroom, she goes up there to talk to her husband, and this guy, and he's talking about, I can't even recognize you. So what he's doing is making her feel bad. So it kind of gives us a feeling that she's going to do something to try to throw him up on the bus because of how he's talking to her. Now, Bryant, on the other hand, he's just sitting back there and he's letting things happen. This is the same thing that happened the night that they picked up Emmett Till. He's a follower. This is Mississippi. This is the South. So they're playing games. And what they're doing is they're removing chairs from the defense so they don't have all of their minds in there thinking and coming together to help with this trial. Now, the judge tells them we're at capacity and we need a little bit of order in here, so there will be no standing room. Everyone needs to be seated. But since there aren't enough seats, 2 of the members have to leave. And when they leave, you hear the bailiff tell them, good luck next time, boys. You remember last episode, we seen a lady outside giving water at the cotton field. Well, they convinced her to come and testify and tell what she's seen. Now, she's very nervous because you remember she wanted to protect her family and she didn't want to take the stand. Now, when she gets up here, she tells exactly what she's seen. She's seen a green truck, and she's seen Leslie Milam come out with a gun. The 2 gentlemen that were forced to leave the courtroom because there's no standing room, when they get outside, a black man comes up to him and says, I heard something about the 2 Negroes that were there in the truck. So now we have us a lead on where they're at because they aren't here to testify. You remember it was Too Tight that was supposed to come in. They were looking for last week. Now we know where he may potentially be. The next gentleman up, he gets on the stand and he testifies that he's seen Emmett Till in the back of the truck. Now, the state, they show evidence just to verify. So you did see Emmett Till, and he's saying yes. But what the defense is doing is they know all of these witnesses are credible. They know that their clients are guilty, but it's their job to make the jury believe that their credibility is wrong. So that's exactly what the defense is about to get up and do. Defense start to cross-examine them, and what they're asking is, you heard somebody was getting whipped. How close were you to the barn? Were you 100 yards? Were you 200 yards? Now, mind you, this is 2022. I can probably tell you about how far 100 yards is, 200 yards if I'm out there. For this gentleman back then, for him to say I was 100 yards, 200 yards, well, he had to be close enough that he said he heard some lashings in there. But what the defense is trying to say is, you don't know how close you were. So how could you really see if it was Leslie or not? Just because he doesn't have the distance, he can't tell you the distance, you're trying to discredit him. And of course, you have a white jury, so they're hearing this. Well, maybe he didn't hear nothing. He doesn't know how close he was. And now he's continuing to question him. If you didn't know how close you were, how are you sure that was a whipping? How you know it wasn't somebody in there hammering? And he's saying, because I heard the screams, I heard the lashings, and also I seen him when Leslie came out. And he described who Leslie was. Now, did he get a full description of his face? No, but the build and the bald head fits who the murderer was. The state, they hear this and they object. The judge, he goes ahead and agrees and says that the jury will be allowed to hear this testimony and it will stand in the court. Now we know where Too Tight is. Too Tight and the other gentleman, they are both locked up because they were witnesses of this crime. Now, they're locked up because of Sheriff Strider, the guy that's been trying to cover up everything. Once he found out who they were, he put them in jail so they can't come and testify. Now, mind you, they need to go figure out how they can get them out of jail today because they won't be allowed to enter in any more witnesses moving forward. Now, this gentleman here, he overhears the guys talking about it. So he goes over to the cops. He says he's a reporter. He wants to get to the police station so he can break the news on if this is really a legitimate story or not. Now, these police officers are saying, why you want to go over there? And he's saying, I'm just following up on a report. Well, they offer to give him a ride. It's time for Mamie to take the stand so she can tell the jury that she positively identified her son's body. She said she looked at his hairline, his ears. There's distinctive marks on your child, even brutally beaten like this, that you can tell it's your child. Not to mention that he also had this ring on. Now, the ring had LT on it. That was her husband's initials. We know that Emmett Till took it with him. So he's trying to verify that the ring was hers that she gave to Emmett before he left. Now, the defense, they're objecting to it because they're saying we don't know how these belongings were delivered to her. That we can't verify that this ring was actually his father's or anything like that. They begin to show the jury the evidence that was admitted, which is the original photos from when Emmett Till was pulled out of the river. Now, we heard the state tell Mamie that there's nothing stronger than a mother's testimony down in the South. Now, I don't know if this is the first time she's actually seen these photos, but she gets very emotional. And you can see the jury, they're looking at it also. This is terrifying. While Bryant's over here looking down because she knows all this nonsense is on her. This could have easily been prevented. Now, the defense, they're playing dirty now. What they're doing is, did you have any life insurance on Emmett Till? And she says, yes, I have $400 on him. Now, what they're trying to do is tie this life insurance along with either the hoax or you had Emmett killed so you can make some money off of it. Now, there was 2 policies on Emmett. She had some and then her mother had the other one. So the defense right now, they're just trying to discredit everything she's saying. It's either a hoax or you wanted your son to die so you can make money off of it. Now, they ask her, did she tell her son how to conduct himself in Mississippi? At this point, the judge tells all the jury to go ahead and leave because they want to see if they'll be able to use this in front of the jury. Now, the defense, they read an article saying she told Emmett he needed to get on his knees and beg for forgiveness. But she tells the real story. Her son was never in any trouble in Chicago, and she told him, if you bump into a white person, you beg for forgiveness, you step out the way, you don't make eye contact, and you keep your head down. Simeon, they were out working. We've been trying to track down Too Tight. Now, you remember they went to the bar, and the lady said, oh, they left. We haven't seen them in days. Well, Too Tight's been arrested. So what they're saying is, if you can come down and verify that this is your husband in the jail, we could be able to get him out. Now, we need your help to try to get justice for Emmett Till. They call Sheriff Strider up to testify. Now, he's not a doctor, so they ask, how long did it look like this body had been in the river? The state says, hey, they object to this because he's not a doctor. He's not certified to determine how long a body's been in the water decomposing. Well, it's overruled. Strider says it looked like it's been about 10 to 15 days, and Emmett had only been reported missing for 3 days. They asked him could he identify the body. He said the only way you can identify a color's body is by the kinky hair. But he's seen white people with kinky hair also. So you already see where this is going. He's been covering up things and he's just making up stuff on the fly. The next question is, were you able to recognize this body as a person? He says, to be honest, if it was my boys that came up missing and this happened, I wouldn't be able to recognize them. I would look at it and wouldn't be able to identify who it was. Now the state, they're about to dig deep in Strider's story. Now there was a death certificate that was written up for Emmett Till, and it was certified and signed by the sheriff saying that it was Emmett Till. Now he's getting caught up because he did sign this death certificate. You remember he signed it and he also said bury the body immediately, don't let it go back to Chicago. Now he's saying I didn't verify that it was Emmett Till because I never seen him. All it was me verifying that as a dead body. So he's getting caught up. But then they asked, have you got any leads on this case? And he's saying, well, I talked to such and such and they said they seen something, but somebody else seen something and someone else seen something. So what he's trying to do is say it's an open case, but you can't really get any information from no colors. Simeon, they have to work extra fast now. That's because they want to get Too Tight admitted to be a witness on this case. Now, where they're at in the trial, that's going to be tough to do, but he's saying, hopefully we can do this. And the judge, he can make an exception, especially if you have valuable testimonies like Too Tight's because he was there. It's time for Miss Bryant to take the stand. Now, the judge tells the jury to leave because there's a deliberation between the defense and the state on where this testimony is actually going to begin. Now, the defense is trying to start it on August 24th, but the state is saying that doesn't have anything to do with the night that the crime started on the 28th. Now, the judge, he hears this and he's saying that the 24th has nothing to do with the 28th. So you can only talk to Miss Bryant about the 28th, the night that it happened, and moving forward. Now, Miss Bryant gets up here and she starts to lie. They want to know what went on the 24th. And she says, a Negro man came in there to buy some candy. Now, I was further back in the store behind the counter. Now, I don't know how much further back in the store you can be when the candy jar was on the counter. But she's in there. She says she handed out her hand. And instead of giving her money, you can see here, he grabs her by the wrist. Now, the jury, they aren't hearing this. This is just for the sake of the record for the court. But we know that this is all made up. You hear all the white people in there. She said, it was a tight grip and I jerked it loose. They, that's just outrage. Come on now. This is the most far-fetched crap we done heard. But all the black people know that. And the white people, they're hearing it, just believing this good old white woman's story, when we know she's lying. And if you look at Leslie, he's sitting there like, yeah, we good now. Then she goes on to say she yanked her hand loose. And then Emmett Till said, how about a date, baby? If I'm the judge, hey, order in the court. This is dismissed. You're done. You're lying. After struggling to get loose from Emmett Till and him saying, how about a date, baby? She says she tried to fight her way loose, and this hand behind her back, hand on her bottom is how Emmett Till grabbed her. Now you hear all the white folk in there, oh my God, no. But all of us black folk are looking at this like this is the dumbest thing ever. We know Emmett Till wouldn't do nothing like this. I don't think any black man would have did anything like this. There is nothing more damaging and more believable than a white woman crying and lying on the stand about a black man. Emmett Till then told her, what's wrong, baby? Can't you take it? You need to be scared of me. Then he proceeded to use language that is unbearable for her to even say the first letter of it. Now the defense, what they're doing here, all of this is scripted. We know that Bryant is up here lying her ass off because she's trying to save face for her family. And you heard the lady in the opening scene. You need to get us out of this. This right here still haunts people today. When they get on the stand and do this fake ass crying and lying, it's a messed up system we have. And it's a messed up United States. This lie has just snowballed. Now, after that, Emmett told her she wasn't the first white person she's been with. Also, another Negro came in, grabbed him by the arm, and when he left, he told her bye. It's sad, man. It's sad how they can get on the stand and tell all of this BS and everyone just believes them. You look at Mamie, she's looking at it like, you lying. I'm not even going to say what she wants to say, but I'm sure she was upset hearing this in that courtroom. The same lies and stories we hear today were the same back then. They asked, when he left, how did he whistle at you? Was it like, everybody's, oh my God. She said she was scared to death, so she went to the car and got a gun while he got in the vehicle down the road. Just like I was saying, if I was the judge listening to this far-fetched story, I would have said, no, this is over. Case dismissed. You're lying. Now, the defense, they say, Your Honor, that's why we want the 24th to be put in so the jury can hear. But the judge says, no, the jury will not hear this. That testimony is for the court, but the jury will not hear this because he knows that they're lying, and he's not going to allow this to be a part of them taking it to a murder. Even if this happened, that still doesn't equate to going and killing somebody. So the jury will not hear this. The judge is doing his job correctly. On the way home from the trial, everyone is upset because we all know that they were in there lying. Now, it is good that the judge told the jury will not be allowed to hear that, but that still doesn't justify even Emmett Till having to whistle when he gets stuck on a word. He wouldn't whistle at a white woman, but none of it justifies a murder. This reporter goes into the Delta Inn to have a drink, and while he's in here, he can see all of the good old boys talking about what's going on. There's a threat from the north. If they can get away with this one time with one white woman, oh man, they'll just come down here and they'll start doing it to all the white women. Now, we know that this didn't happen at all, but that's what they're doing. They're pledging their allegiance to try to get this to stop and basically do black people wrong. Mamie, she's at the house tearing things up because she's upset with how things are going. And when the reporter comes outside, the Klan has arrived. They put up a burning cross. There you go, episode 5 of Women of the Movement. This one was a tough one, especially hearing the lies that Miss Bryant was saying in the courtroom. But that's what we expected from the white people. That's just the way it's been for decades. Let me know what you guys think about this episode. I'm MoedotJ. If you like the content on the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.